Darkness can be found everywhere, and here on YouTube that is especially true. In this new series, I'm going to be taking a look at some of the darkest channels on the site that I have yet to cover. These are accounts surrounded by mystery, whose videos are disturbing, strange, and even heartbreaking.
It's just disappeared.
These are just a few of YouTube's darkest channels. A few months ago, I made a video entitled The YouTube Kidnapper. In it, we discussed a channel that had been posting concerning videos that had very dark implications. One of the most off-putting parts of the 00390 channel were the videos that showed the person behind the camera stalking different women. I've had many people reach out to me and ask if there's been any updates around this channel, but unfortunately, there hasn't. However, I have become aware of another channel that shares many similarities, specifically when it comes to filming and stalking women without their consent. The channel's name is Dan Silly, and it's run by a man of the same name. And the content within his channel is disturbing. His very first upload is a 3.5-hour video entitled, "I Will Grab Woman Soon." For the first portion of this video, Dan is filming himself walking the streets of LA, critiquing different women on how attractive they are.
Okay, there's a woman up here that's like 30-something, 32 or 4. Her trying to speed up so I can get an image. Her hips were narrow, not wide, you know, I mean, that's the catch, right? She was just sitting by herself. I could have said, hey, she just looked Asian, an over chubby Asian, you know, Americanized.
Now, though this isn't illegal by any means, it obviously comes across as a little creepy. And throughout the video, it only gets creepier as Dan shares his belief that our society is made too safe for women.
But in this place, the place is too safe with police. In other countries, it's way less safe. In order to get a bodyguard man, you know, that will protect you, you need to be a good woman. You need to act well. But in here the women don't need to act well, so therefore, they're disgusting. You know, they're not good women.
But the most disturbing part of this video comes within its description, where Dan writes a lengthy rant about how badly he wants a woman for himself, because I guess the 3.5-hour runtime it wasn't enough to squeeze it all in. The rant starts with Dan saying, "I'm going to grab women. Don't you want to grab them? Squeeze them? I am going to grab them, but only if they want me to. It will be annoying asking so many times, but they could get me arrested if they happen to not want me to grab them. And I do." Later on in the rant, he says that the woman he ends up with cannot drink caffeine, eat dairy, wheat, etc. She also should not be on social media, and desire for you to impregnate her. The rant ends with a chilling line, "I will have live footage shortly of me causing women to feel very high amounts of pleasure. I will show you exactly what you need to do in order to achieve a similar result as mine." From the first video alone, it seems clear that Dan's view on women is concerning. I mean, the video title is literally, "I Will Grab Woman Soon," and in it he's scouting women on the streets, judging them solely by their appearance. And in his own description, he admits that what he's planning on doing could get him arrested. The insinuation on what he's referring to is clearly there.
I'm looking around, I'm looking for what I want. I'm shopping for what I want. I'm shopping for food, I'm shopping for sex, okay? This is not bad. Why is this bad?
And the content only gets worse from here.
Hi. Why are you ignoring me? Why exactly are you being, tired of being sexualized? Isn't it good to, be valued for something?
After the initial video, Dan switched his style to approaching random girls and filming them. It appears that he does this in an attempt to pick them up. Typically when approaching them, Dan says lines like, "Hi, I like you," or "I saw you over there and I want to kiss you." It's hard to watch as the people he's approaching want no part of it, but for the most part, it seems that Dan is unable to understand this, as he continues to follow many of the girls even after they tell them that they aren't interested.
They think I can't run or something? Hi, how's it going? How are you? Okay.
Don't record my friends either.
Why not?
Because we don't give you consent.
You don't have to. I mean, I don't need consent. Right? That's a myth.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Security? Hey, security.
Through all the hours of content, there are also multiple instances when Dan is filming where he clearly focuses on the private areas of these women.
Oh, do not.
The more that Dan films these girls, the more you'll start to notice that some of them appear to be very young. In fact, some appear to be much younger than 18. Meanwhile, Dan is in his 30s. This is something that is pointed out in many of his comments, with one comment writing, "You should make sure that they're older than 18. A lot of the girls you've been approaching look like kids, dude." Now, just from looking at some of the reactions of the people that Dan are filming, it seems genuine. But as it turns out, there's actual proof that all of this is real. And it's proof that makes this channel and these interactions even darker.
I don't think he could be supervised 24 hours a day.
Daniel Patrick Silly is a high-risk sex offender who has moved to Rohnert Park.
As it turns out, Dan Silly is actually a registered sex offender, as he was arrested back in 2017 for harassing a minor in a sexual manner. It's just another piece to an already dark puzzle, but the arrest did lead to some good. It appears that once Dan was released, he stopped posting videos of him approaching and harassing random girls. And in fact, his channel has seemingly been dormant since then. But that isn't quite the end of Dan's story. As it turns out, since his arrest, he has been actively posting on 2 separate channels. There, he posts videos such as 15-year-old white girls served me food and all looked me in the eyes. Marriage material? I saw a 14-year-old who had a round. And how to marry a 14-year-old girl. All of these videos are currently on YouTube, and all of these videos are being posted by a sex offender. It's truly one of the darkest sides of YouTube that I've ever encountered, and it makes me wonder how much stuff like this is going on unnoticed.
Because I literally do feel like freaking like destroying these women when I accost them. My reptilian brain literally feels like attacking these women, just strangling them and stuff. Honestly, and making them submit to me. I feel like these women, seriously,
But before I conclude Dan's story, I want to add a disclaimer that it is very likely that he is suffering from some type of mental illness that doesn't make his actions right in any way, and it doesn't absolve him of everything he's doing. But I want to ask you to please not go to his channel and leave nasty comments, because feeding into someone's delusions like that will only heighten his current mental state, and that would honestly just make things worse for everyone. YouTube has its fair share of dark channels, but there are countless others that are more mysterious than Dan's. Channels whose entire purpose seems uncertain. Channels like David's Artisan, a page likely run by a man of the same name. Throughout David's 2-year span on YouTube, he has posted 8,431 videos to his channel, which roughly evens out to be 11 videos a day. Posting that often alone seems like an impossible feat, especially for someone like me that likes to take their time. But it's what this channel is uploading that has spurred an internet mystery. The first video that David posted came back in January of 2018, and it simply showed a TV playing in a bare room.
Pleasure doing business, Steve Ford. I'm Leanne Ford, and this is my brother Steve. Oh, yeah.
From the looks of the angle, it appears that Dan was recording this while laying down, likely on a bed. The title of the first video is Restored by the Fords, January 15-1, which is in reference to the television show that was playing on the TV. Every single one of the 8,000 plus videos posted since then has followed the same exact premise. David is lying down on his bed, recording the TV in the same room. Now, the fact that David was posting so many of these videos throughout the entire day of every single day shows that David must have spent the majority of his time simply lying in bed watching TV. It's something that seems very mundane, but also slightly off-putting at the same time. Each video more similar than the last, just the same thing over and over again. Who is this content for? Why was David posting so many times throughout the day? And why was he always in that room? Well, for the first year of this channel's existence, these questions were left unanswered. Nothing changed. The same room, the same content, every single day. But roughly a year later, David's videos changed.
Months go by, and a year goes by.
And then what happened?
The content stayed the same, but suddenly he was posting from a different room. There was no explanation given to the change in scenery. David was just now posting in a different location. But there's something about this room, something that looks familiar, something unmistakable. That curtain next to the TV. A clear indication that David wasn't filming at a house anymore, and that he was likely filming from a hospital room. At this point, another switch in David's videos was starting to become apparent. It seemed that with every upload, David's camera work got shakier and shakier. Because of this, and everything else that we know, a theory can be put forth that explains what we might be seeing here. It seems like David may have been bedridden at home, and he used YouTube and watching TV as a means to pass the time. This would explain the upload schedule and why he had seemingly devoted his entire life to posting these videos. But maybe David's health got worse and worse, something that the shakiness of the camera could signify. Maybe this led him to be transferred to the hospital, where he continued being bedridden and posting his videos to YouTube. It's an incredibly sad theory, but it wasn't confirmed or denied, and though it seems likely, David's channel still remained a mystery. But a twist was coming, and it was one that put the entire situation to rest. 6 months ago, David inexplicably stopped posting his videos. The channel that once put out nearly a dozen videos every single day was halted altogether. Some reached out to ask if David was okay, while others speculated that maybe he got better and that he was no longer stuck in bed. David's disappearance further deepened this mystery, as no one knows where he went and why he stopped posting. But once this happened, I immediately feared the worst, and for the sake of this video, I did some research. Artisan David Glenn, 1966 to 2019. It is with heavy hearts that we announce the death of our beloved David. Our appreciation to the nurses on the second floor of St. Vincent's for their care of David. This obituary was posted online 23 days after David's final upload. The middle name is even consistent with a second channel that David ran, called David G. Artisan, and the mention of his time in St. Vincent's Hospital is consistent with him being switched over to a hospital bed. So it appears that our initial theory was correct. and unfortunately, David was unable to recover from his failing health. It's a tragic end to what was already a very sad mystery. And the saddest part is that this is far from the only case of a YouTuber inexplicably passing away. In the summer of 2013, Tamesha Glasson, also known as Misha Ridge, began her YouTube channel. The focus of it was on fashion, and many were captivated by her kind and cheerful personality. Watching her videos back, they are very reminiscent of old school YouTube, back before the fancy editing and the camera work. And truthfully, they're very refreshing to watch, especially at a time like this. Misha's talent and personality makes me truly believe that she would have found great success on the platform today. But unfortunately, she'd never get the chance. On August 6th of 2013, Misha posted a video called How to Make a Maxi Dress with Cutouts. She concluded the video by saying,
And I shall see you guys in a few days for another sewing tutorial. Hope you guys enjoy. Bye.
that next video would never come.
We start with some breaking news in Sacramento right now. Police are investigating a deadly shooting.
In May of the following year, as Misha was sleeping in her Los Angeles home, her ex-boyfriend snuck into her room and shot her at point-blank range. Misha was pronounced dead at the scene. David and Misha's story are heartbreaking and terrifying to hear, as they reflect one of the darkest parts of YouTube, that out of the blue a creator could just be gone without the opportunity to say goodbye. The final channel that we'll be looking at today is one that I've been fascinated by for a few months now, but truthfully, I was concerned about discussing it on the channel, and I still kind of am, so let's just say that I'll be treading lightly with this one. As of recording this video, our world is still very much being ravaged by the current virus. But in the very start of 2020, things were much different. The virus was centralized in China, and specifically in the city of Wuhan. At the time, it was hard to tell how bad things really were over there, and many claimed that China was censoring the truth from the public. This is something that freelance journalist Li Zuoha seemed to believe, as he wanted to get the truth out about what was really happening with the virus. He traveled to Wuhan and began filming his experiences and posting them to YouTube, as well as on other Chinese social media sites. On YouTube, he posted his videos on a channel called Chris Lee, and in his first upload, he explains that
我的一位在主流媒体工作的朋友告诉我，现在在武汉所有的主流媒体，他们都被安排在一个现在所有关于疫情的坏消息都已经被中央收归统一的报道，而地方媒体只能报道关于
If this truly were the case, and China was censoring information, then what Li was doing was incredibly dangerous. He was actively showing and discussing the very things that China was trying to keep concealed, which means that every video he would make would put a target on his back. In his following 3 videos, Li would go on to interview some of the residents of Wuhan, as well as discussing the theory that China could be covering up the number of infections and deaths. His videos proved to be incredibly insightful thanks to the fact that here in the United States, it was difficult to find trustworthy videos and stories from the area. What Li was doing was very important, and in his eyes, he was standing up against the flawed and overbearing Chinese government. But his videos were about to catch up with him. On February 26th, an unmarked car drove alongside Li's vehicle. The passengers within the car told him to stop immediately and surrender. Feeling shocked and scared, Li instead decided to speed away because he wasn't sure who exactly these people were. As he drove off, Lee would record a frantic 30-second video entitled SOS, where he briefly explained his latest encounter. At the time of him filming this video, he was actively being pursued by the unmarked car. Eventually, Lee was able to make it back to his hotel, where he immediately started live streaming. The stream lasted over 3 hours, with most of it taking place with the lights off and in silence, in order for Lee to avoid detection. Throughout the video, multiple police officers knocked on his door to see if Lee was in there. After roughly 3 hours and 45 minutes, Lee finally opened the door and surrendered. He was arrested that night and taken away. Months would go by without any word from Lee. Some speculated that the government had killed him for speaking out against them, while others assumed that he was locked in prison. No matter which you believe, it is still incredibly concerning. A man arrested for trying to share the truth and to warn the world on what was to come. And with Lee's disappearance, this channel has truly become a mystery. But Lee would post one more video, a video that would prove to be the most mysterious yet. Over 2 months after Lee's apparent arrest, he posted a 6-minute video. Here is a brief excerpt.
开门之后，他们进来了，向我表明了他们的身份，他们是公安。在整个过程中，警察文明执法，保证了我的休息时间和饮食，对我也很关心。感谢所有照顾和关心我的人，愿天佑华夏，愿世界人民团结。这些日子，无数纷乱的思绪满溢于我的脑海，有的转瞬即逝，有的只可缄默，唯独这一句不堪之论，铸印于心，不可磨灭。人心为微，道心为微，为精为一。 允直绝终。
2 months ago, Lee was going against the government to expose their wrongdoing of the entire situation. And suddenly, now, he was praising them and thanking them after presumably being held captive for 2 months. According to Lee, he was treated well by Chinese officials, and they were simply keeping him isolated because he had been exposed to the virus. But many have their doubts. And what could have happened in such a short amount of time that would make Lee flip his core beliefs to the complete opposite side of the spectrum? Plus, not to mention the act that this speech he gave was clearly scripted and well rehearsed. As I said, this is one mystery that I'll tread lightly on, but it's not hard to imagine what they might have done to Lee in that span of time. And whatever he endured to make him switch sides like this, it seems that he didn't even get the worst of it.
我是害怕。
Even before Lee had started posting his videos, another journalist by the name of Chen Kuishi had made videos exposing the wrongdoings of the Chinese government in their handling and coverage of the virus. Previously, he had also been outspoken for the Hong Kong protests, and he was an adamant supporter of them, which means that he was likely already on the bad side of the government. And it seems that he too may have been punished for this.
One citizen journalist documenting the outbreak in Wuhan, that's the city at the center of the outbreak, has reportedly been arrested. Another has just disappeared.
On February 6th, Chen would go missing without a trace. His mother made a video pleading for information about his whereabouts. She posted it onto his channel to see if anyone could help.
之后呢，晚上7、8点钟到现在。
But her attempt proved unsuccessful. Unlike Lee, Chen has not been heard from since, and despite immense speculation on what could have happened to him, we still don't really know where he could have gone. Maybe he was arrested, or even killed. That's as deep as I'll go on these mysteries, and for now, we're just gonna have to wait and see if any more information comes forward, and if Chen is ever heard from again. This concludes our dive into some of YouTube's darkest channels, but as I mentioned at the start, these are just a few. Out there across our platform, there are bound to be more channels like this, just waiting to be discovered. For that reason, I'm sure that this will become an ongoing series on this channel. But for now, let's talk about something a little more upbeat. Thank you guys so much for helping me reach 100,000 subscribers. I mean, I'm so lucky to be able to share my work with this many people. And to celebrate, I want to do a Q&A. So send your questions to me on my new Twitter or Instagram, or just in the comments, and I'll answer a few from each platform. Thank you guys again for everything. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.